Due to the
We're
COVID-19
live. Thank
emergency,
you.
tonight's Committee of Adjustment hearing is being held by video conference and live streaming video on the town's live stream webpage at oakville.ca. This is a hearing to consider applications for minor variance and consents held under the authority of the Planning Act. Please keep in mind the intent of this process is to review the application that is before the committee, listen to the evidence, and then make a decision. This process is not intended to be used to resolve any concerns or disputes that may exist between the town, individuals, or organizations. If a request for a deferral is made and the committee grants such a request, the applicant or authorized agent must contact the Secretary Treasurer to schedule a new hearing date. In order to conduct an effective and efficient electronic hearing, we have adopted the following process. If you are watching the live stream of this hearing on oakville.ca, and if you wish to speak to an item on the agenda, you can call 905-815-6095. Again, that's 905-815-6095. The phone number is also posted on your screen below, the live stream at oakville.ca. Staff will be standing by to take your call. When you call in, staff will ask your name, item number you wish to address, and your telephone number. Further instructions will be provided for you to call back to join the video conference. When the chair of the committee polls for delegations, the Secretary Treasurer will unmute you when it is your time to speak. 2, the applicant or agent will be given the opportunity to briefly explain to the committee the basis of the application and answer any questions that may arise. A maximum of 5 minutes will be provided for a presentation. You will need to state your full name and address for the record. Any submissions beyond the 5 minutes will be at the discretion of the committee. 3, all delegations must also state their full name and address for the record. A maximum of 5 minutes will be provided to make your presentation. All remarks and questions are to be directed to the chair. Any submissions beyond the 5 minutes will be at the discretion of the committee. 4, the applicant or agent will then be provided with a further 5 minutes to respond to the comments made by any interested parties and answer any questions from the committee members. If the applicant or agent has any concerns found in the staff report, particularly with any proposed conditions, this is your opportunity to advise us. And 5, the matter will then be taken into the committee for a decision. This will mark the end of all discussion. Any person desiring a notice of decision for an application must provide a written request, preferably through email to the Secretary Treasurer. Please note that you must make a written request in order to be included on the list that is used by the local planning appeal tribunal for the giving of any subsequent notice of any appeal. Written notice of the committee's decision will be mailed no later than 10 days for minor variance and 15 days for consents to the applicant and or agent and any other person who filed a written request for such notice. If you do not agree with the committee's decision, you may appeal this to the local planning appeal tribunal. The last day to appeal the decision to the local planning appeal tribunal will be noted on the decision. If no appeal is received within the prescribed time frame, the decision of the committee becomes final and binding. The Secretary Treasurer will then notify the applicant through written correspondence. People participating in this hearing are to be courteous to and respectful of the members of the committee, town staff, and other people participating in the electronic hearing. Tonight's electronic hearing is being video recorded and available for future viewing at oakville.ca. Thank you. Okay.
Sorry, just bear with us a moment. We're having some technical difficulties as well. I think, do you have your, we'll go on to regrets. Member, okay?
So are there any regrets this evening?
Well, yes, we have Shery. Mikhail is not present at this time. Okay, we'll move on to declaration. Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest from Okay, I see Michael, or I saw,
Mr. Chair, 7 of the items on tonight's agenda are lots within the Glen Abbey Encore subdivision. It's a subdivision that I actually managed the approvals for, and the applicant has a relationship with our company. So I'm going to be declaring a conflict on items 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, and 10 on tonight's agenda.
Duly noted.
is there any other declarations of pecuniary interest from any of the other members? Okay, I see none. We're going to move on to requests for deferral or withdrawal of applications, and I believe there is one, and I'm just going to move the agent into the meeting. It'll just be a moment. Okay, Ms. McEwen is here to request the deferral.
Ms. McEwen, you have to unmute your line.
Catherine, or Ms. McEwen, we can't hear you. You have to unmute.
Sorry about that. Good evening. We would like to request to defer application A78 for lot 399. We've had a chance to review the staff report and the staff comments, and we'd like to have a chance to deal with staff and see what we can do to rectify the situation and or change the design in order to get positive staff comments.
Okay, thank you. Is there any comments from the committee with regards to the deferral request? Okay, seeing none. Is there, do I need to move a motion to defer?
Yeah, we can all say is raise of hands who's in support of the deferral.
Raise of hands. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so it has, the application has been deferred.
Okay. And there's no other applications for deferral at this time. So if not, we'll move on then to application CAV A070 2020 for 2100 Lakeshore Road East. Judith?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I have a bit of a housekeeping issue with this first one and was wondering if I might, through you, address town staff.
Okay.
Through you, Mr. Chair, to town staff, this was a difficult property to do a site inspection, and I would ask in the future that perhaps we could work better with the agent to permit us to do a site visit. If the other members had the same experience that I had in attempting to make a site visit, and I finally did make my site visit, it's entirely possible I might be the only person that can move a motion indicating that I'd made the site visit. It is a gated property with no way to inspect. So for future, if again, arrangements could be made, that would be appreciated. I am wondering if the staff has any ideas about how we can ameliorate the process via the staff or via the agent. Thank you.
I think we'll deal with this as an item at the end of our meeting when we're closed, and we can have a further discussion on the access that's happening now, especially with COVID and the issues that was raised in visiting this property. So we will address this at the end. Once we've closed our meeting, it will be an internal discussion between the staff and the committee members. And I do have Mr. Hicks is available for this application.
Good evening, members. Can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Hicks, we can hear you. Sorry, do you have a camera that we can see
I
you as
do.
well?
Oh, sorry, I forgot to turn it on. So I'll be in a second.
Yeah.
Oh, there I am.
Perfect.
Thank you, members, and Ms. Murray, a comment on that. I apologize for the access to the site. I know you're going to discuss it later. It has been an issue. It's the first time it's been an issue in 20 years for me, but both clients were out of the country, unfortunately. So we did our best to try and get someone in there, and we finally did manage to. But yeah, it's probably a good point to discuss because there are a few gated properties in Oakville, certainly. So at any rate, here tonight for a variance. This was one that was approved by the committee over 2 years ago. That variance has lapsed, so we're back before you tonight, and it's really for a one variance for the height of an accessory structure being built on a rebuilt boathouse that's adjacent to the lake at the far south east corner of the site. So I've read planning's comments. The neighbors beside Mr. Gardner has no objections to it. And as I say, it's been before the committee once before, and we're ready to proceed with the project now. So we're back before the committee to get that extension. Site plan has been waived on the site. They have no concerns with it. And I've read the conditions that are in the report. We have no problem with any of those conditions. We are working with Conservation Halton already on a permit. They're just waiting for a rail detail for a rail into the water, and that's about it. So I'm happy to answer any questions, but it's a fairly straightforward application, I think. So, but open to answering any questions that you have, though.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks. Ms. Murray?
Mr. Hicks, just wondering if you have a few pictures to show, because we're doing this as a virtual and the public can't attend. I was just wondering if there was any presentation.
I believe we had sent one in before with the drawings, but
I have that. I'm wondering if maybe it can be put up on the screen for the public.
yeah, and I thought maybe because every municipality is a little different, I thought that the technician there put it up on the screen. But,
Yeah, we're just working on that. It'll just take a moment.
are you?
And
Okay,
Mr. Flemington, we just have to make sure we're calling out the phone number again for people to call in during our applications. If you wouldn't mind just calling out the phone number in case anybody would like to call in regarding the application.
Okay, so the phone number again is 905-815-6095.
if we can go to the next page. I don't have photographs, but I do have the drawings and the site plan. So we can carry right on to the site plan. That's the nature of the variance. So I can't control, you can't see my cursor on the screen, I know, but the boathouse is at the far bottom right-hand side of the page, shaded. It's a very large property with access from the lakeshore through a sort of an L-shaped lot or a key lot configuration. So there is an existing boathouse in that location. We're basically rebuilding that and building a cabana on top of it, which is really the reason for the height variance. The boathouse itself complies, but there's a grade change of a full story between the, call it the northern side of the boathouse and the southern side of the boathouse. Our average grade takes us to make the height of the roof too high. So if you go to the next drawing, there should be an elevation of the boathouse. The one that's noted as south elevation is looking from the south side of it. Lake is on the right. And really the boathouse is no higher than what's existing right now. There's a terrace on top of it. It simply doesn't have a cabana or overlook on top of it at this point. So, and then it's a single boathouse with a rail into the lake at that point as well. So, and unfortunately, I don't have a photograph of the existing one, but and I apologize if not everyone's had a chance to see it. It's pretty much invisible to any neighbors, certainly to the west, and Mr. Gardner to the east is fully aware of it. They know each other quite well, so he's fully aware of it, and he actually provides access through his property to allow construction of it. So,
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hicks. Is there any other questions for Mr. Hicks, or is there any callers that have called in?
I do not see any callers at this time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'll turn it over to the committee for a motion with regards to the presentation. Ms. Murray?
Yes, so, Mr. Chair, having conducted my site visit, reviewed the applicant's written submission as well as the town's written staff report, which I note that the staff is in support of. Having also taken into account the presentation by the applicant this evening, and noting that there are no written or oral objections from the public or neighbors at this time, I'm satisfied that the minor variance application meets all 4 tests under the Planning Act, and I'm prepared to make a motion to approve the application for variance following, taking note of the following conditions, which are the requested conditions are that, one moment, that the boathouse and pavilion be built in general accordance with the submitted site plan reference number 4, dated 07/28/20, and elevation drawings reference number 4, dated 28/07/20, and that the approval expires two years from the date of the decision if a building permit has not been issued for the proposed construction. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Murray. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? Okay, motion carries.
thank you, members.
Okay,
Have a
thank
good
you.
evening.
Thank
Take care.
you. You as well.
Bye now.
Bye. Okay, so moving to the next application on the agenda, it's CAV.
Okay, I'm just sorry, and I do apologize. We're kind of going through a lot of.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm just gonna move Member Tulowski. He's just gonna leave the meeting for now, and then I'm going to bring Ms. McEwen in, who's going to be the agent for the next applications. It'll just take me a moment.
Okay, thanks.
And we have Ms. McEwen on the panel now.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So before the committee, it's application CAV A071 2020 for block 458. And again, just reminding people the number to phone in should you have comments is 905-815-6095. And I'll turn it over to the applicant's agent.
Good evening. My name is Catherine McEwen from Corsiac Urban Planning, 277 Lakeshore Road. I'm here tonight on behalf of our client, Hallett Homes. I'm not sure the next 3 variances are all the same. I'm not sure if we should, if you want like a short kind of presentation on all three of them, and then we can discuss individual ones as necessary, or if you want to do one by one. Either way is fine.
I guess at this time, I know that they're all similar. Maybe we'll just, for the first one, we'll just do it first, and then that'll give people a chance to call in should they wish to, and then we can go from there.
So we're requesting variances to permit balconies above the porches in the flanked yard for the end units, which is model BH04 of these back-to-backs, which are 4 units in the block, with a maximum projection of 2.7 meters. These balconies will provide amenity space for these units. When the site-specific zoning was created, provisions were included to allow ground floor porches in the flanked yard. However, provisions for the balcony above were missed. The balconies were included in the elevation drawings that were approved by Urban Design and the control architect. They'll certainly enhance the streetscape and don't create any privacy concerns. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have on these.
Okay, thank you. Is there any questions from the committee members, Ms. Murray?
Again, through you, Mr. Chair, to town staff, it'd be great if we could have this up on the screen. This is a virtual meeting that the public cannot attend.
So perhaps page 7, I believe, of the PDF that we submitted, I think kind of gives the overview. And then if we need to go into detail, we can pull some of the other drawings that were submitted. Oh. Do you have page 7? Can you click on page 7 so it brings it up? So the 4 end units, as you can see, the balcony is above where the porch is. We're essentially requesting to put a railing on top of the porch to allow for this amenity space, as it was missed when the site-specific zoning was created.
Okay.
And I also wanted to note, I understand that I believe one of the signs was missing at someone's site visit. They were all posted. We had photos, and I had the site super check today, and they were all up. So I'm not sure if during construction one got taken down for a bit. I'm not sure what happened there, but they were all posted.
Okay, thank you. Is there any questions from the committee? And I don't know if there's anyone that is called in with regards to this application.
I don't see anybody currently.
Okay.
And then if we could go to it, I believe number 1, I just wanted to note page number 1.
Okay.
I'm not sure what all those post-it notes are, but unit VH02, we had thought that we had cleared up any zoning issues on this unit. There's 2 units per block. It was raised on Friday that there might be an issue, so we're working with zoning, but we may very likely be in front of you again, hopefully, if needed, on October 13th for these units. I just wanted to be transparent and let you know that there might also be variances for these, the VH02.
Okay, so basically that would come in as a separate item then.
That's correct. And we want to proceed with these ones in the event we don't need those ones, so timing can keep moving forward.
Okay. Okay, so does that conclude your presentation with regards to this application?
It does.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from committee members? Okay, seeing none, can we move to a motion? Ms. Murray, I just need you to unmute your line.
Yeah, I always forget that. Mr. Chair, having conducted my site visit and reviewed the applicant's written submission as well as the town's written staff report, which I note that the staff is in support of, having also taken into account the comments presented by the applicant this evening, I will note for the record and for the public that there are no written or oral objections because there are no neighbors, because this is a new development. I am satisfied that given the similar built form that will be constructed in the immediate area, the balconies would interface with townhomes opposite them that will have similar balconies. And so I'm satisfied that the minor application meets all 4 tests under the Planning Act. I'm prepared to make a motion to approve the application for variance subject to the following conditions. That the balconies be built in general accordance with the submitted site plans and elevation drawings submitted with the application, and that the approval expires 2 years from the date of the decision if a building permit has not been issued. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Murray. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? Okay, the motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we have to move on to the next one. There's actually the 3. So is Ms. Murray going to be moving all 3 applications?
So I'm sorry for the misunderstanding. I was under the impression that it was being dealt with as a bulk lot under CAV A071.
Correct, that is one block, but then there's 072, which is block 41, and 073, which were all, as the agent explained, it's all the same, but it's actually 3 separate applications. We actually do need a motion on each application.
Okay, certainly I can do that. Let me just get my documents in front of me. Give me a second. So we're on to CAV A072.
Yeah, CAV A072 2020, which is with regards to block 461.
Okay, so again, Mr. Chair, I'm prepared to make a motion. Having conducted my site visit, reviewed the applicant's written submission as well as the town's written staff report, which I know the staff is in support of, and the comments presented by the applicant this evening, I'm satisfied that the minor variance application meets all 4 tests. Under the Planning Act, I'm prepared to make a motion to move the application for variance subject to the following conditions. And those conditions are that the balconies be built in general accordance with submitted site plans and elevation drawings submitted with the application, and that the approval expires 2 years from the date of a decision if a building permit is not issued. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Murray. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Okay, the motion carries. Approved. And lastly, CAV A073 2020, which is block 462.
Got it. Yes, Mr. Chair, through you, Mr. Chair, having conducted my site visit, reviewed the applicant's written submission.
Oh, you're muted. Sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Again, Mr. Chair, through you, having conducted my site visit, reviewed the applicant's written submission as well as the town's written staff report, which I note that the staff is in support of. Having also taken into account the comments presented by the applicant this evening, I'm satisfied that the minor variance application meets all 4 tests of the Planning Act. I'm prepared to make a motion to approve the application at this time with the following requested conditions: that the balconies be built in general accordance with the submitted site plans and the elevation drawings submitted with the application, and that the approval expires 2 years from the date of the decision if a building permit has not been issued. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Murray. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? And the motion carries. Okay, thank you. I believe that was the last one, Ms. McEwen. Okay, so thank you for your presentation. And next on our agenda is application CAV 0A074.
Mr. Flemington, sorry to interrupt. Ms. Mikhail is arrived, so if you would like to hand the chair over to her, unless you're comfortable moving on, please let me know.
Sure. I don't mind turning it back over to Ms. Mikhail.
Okay, Shery, are you there?
I am here. Hello, sorry everybody.
It's all good.
Okay, just to let you know, we're on application CAVA 074-2020 at 1100 Cheusman Way.
Okay, I'm just pulling them up right now. Sorry, say the number again.
07074, item number 5.
Okay, Cheusman Way, okay.
And just a reminder about repeating our phone number for the call-ins. Thank you so much.
Perfect, will do. So we're calling item CAV 072 of 2020. No, 074 you said, right?
Correct.
Sorry.
Yep, 074.
This CAV 074 of 2020 at 1100 Cheusman Way. Anyone watching the live stream and would like to speak to this application is asked to speak to or call in at 905-815-6095. Again, the number is 905-815-6095. The number is also posted below the screen of the live stream at oakville.ca. Staff will be standing by to take your call, and when you do call in, further instructions will be provided for you to call back to join the video conference. I have the agent here listed as Shery.
That's right.
Correct. Okay. Hello. Good evening.
Good evening.
So do you have a presentation that town staff will be putting on the monitor for us?
Yes, I did send in a PDF of a Google map image and my site. Also, good evening, committee members. I'm Shivani Khapre from Lifestyle Sunrooms, and we proposed, on 1100 Cheusman Way is the corner property, and my company proposed a sunroom for our client, Ayman Yusuf and Nancy Atalla, who reside at the same property. So the minimum rear yard that the sunroom covers is showing us a difference of 1.7 meters, where the minimum yard is 5.8 meters, and what we need for according to the zoning is 7.5. The sunroom would be attached at the rear end of this house, which is on the east side. If I could just ask the committee. Yes, thank you. That's right. So that's the existing two-story structure, and the proposed sunroom is at the rear end of this house. Also, to support that, since the sunroom is at the rear end, it does not really affect the neighborhood, the way all the neighborhood houses are being built, and the side of the sunroom, which is adjacent to the neighbors, is the next. Yes, this one. The panels are all blocked, like they're solid, so there's no window, so there's enough privacy on the other side adjacent to the neighbors.
Are we waiting for something?
No, this is it. I wanted to talk about.
Okay, very well. Can we exit the yeah, thank you. Okay, committee members, are there any questions of Ms. Sharani at this time? Or any items of clarification for the application on the sunroom? I see none. Okay. If you're satisfied, okay, Mr. Flemington, sorry, I didn't see your hand.
It's okay, Madam Chair, having conducted my site visit and having reviewed the applicant's written submission as well as the town's written staff report, which I note is in favor of the motion. Also having taken into account the comments presented this evening by the applicant's agent and noting that there were no written or oral objections from the public, I am prepared to move that the motion that the application be approved as applied for with the following conditions: that the addition be built in general accordance with the submitted site plan and elevations drawings dated August 7th, 2020, and that the approval expires 2 years from the date of the decision if a building permit has not been issued for the proposed construction.
Very well, thank you, Mr. Flemington. Is there a discussion on this recommendation? I see none. All those in support? Okay, your application has been approved. None opposed.
Thank you, committee. Thank you, committee members.
Thank you. Okay, we are dealing with CAV 075 of 2020 at 198 Douglas Avenue. Again, the number is 075 of 2020 at 198 Douglas Avenue. Anyone who would like to speak to this application is asked to call 905-815-6095. Again, the number is 905-815-6095. It is also posted below the screen on the live stream page of oakville.ca. Staff will be standing by to take your call, and when you do call in, further instructions will be provided for you to call back to join the video conference. I have the agent here listed as Emily Vea of John Wilmont Architect Inc. Is Emily with us, Miss McRae?
Yeah, Miss Vey, are you there? You would have to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay.
Hello, Ms. Vey. If you have the capacity to turn on your camera, that would be good as well. If not, you can stay on voice alone. Okay, yeah, we see you now. That's good. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Thank you. Good evening, Madam Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Emily Villas, as already noted, from John Wilmot Architect Inc. And I'm here tonight on behalf of the owners. This is fairly a straightforward application, and planning staff is in support of the application, which is to request a permit to permit the swimming pool to be set back at 1.68 meters from the flankage lot line. I do have a site plan available to show the committee if you would like to see it, and I could answer any of your questions. Thank you.
Very well. Do we have a letter? We don't have any letters of support or otherwise for this application. Have you spoken to your neighbors and everything is fine? I'd like to see the site plan put up just to give people a chance to call in if they would like to and speak to this application, although we don't have any objections on cited. So if town staff would be kind enough, thank you.
Would you like me to do a presentation?
You can do a quick one because I can't see the panel when we go into this view, so I can't actually poll the committee members if they have questions. I did see Miss Murray's hand go up. And if you unmute yourself, Miss Murray, you can ask any question of clarification that you'd like of the agent at this present time.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. I was just going to reiterate your comments to ask to see that it be posted for the public, and it has been, so thank you.
Okay. Are there any questions of Miss Via at this time? If you do have questions, you can ask them. Alternatively, she can take us through the presentation quickly. Go ahead, Ms. Rea.
Hey, good evening. As you can see at the top corner there, that the application to permit this proposed pool is to allow for the setback of 1.68, which is a reduction of a flankage setback. And at this point, I believe that this is not an issue since the planning committee has supported the application and believes that it meets the four tests of the Planning Act. Excuse me.
Okay. Okay, very well. If we can exit the yeah. Now I can see the committee. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions or items of clarification of Ms. Via at this time? Ms. McCrae, if no one has called in, we are ready to take this matter into committee.
There are no callers at this time.
Very well. Who would like to? Mr. Tlowski, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I'm satisfied that this application meets the four tests of the Planning Act. I do not believe there'll be any impact by this variance. I would also note the significant boulevard between the proposed pool and the road itself. I would note that there's no opposition to this application. So I would move approval subject to the pool being constructed in accordance with the site plan dated June 29th, 2020, and that a pool permit issue within 2 years.
Very well. Thank you, Mr. Tlowski. Is there a discussion on this recommendation? I see none. All those in support? Okay. The application has been approved. None opposed. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Okay, application CAV 076 at 2311. I'm tongue-tied right now. Hyacinth, am I correct? Am I pronouncing that correctly? Hyacinth Crescent. Again, CAV 076 2020 at 2311 Hyacinth Crescent. The number to call is 905-815-6095. Again, the number is 905-815-6095. Anyone who would like to speak to this application is welcome to call these numbers. This number is also available on the live stream at Oakville.ca page. And if you do call in, further instructions will be provided for you to join the video conferencing. Thank you. We have the agent listed as Catherine McEwen. Oh, hello.
Hey.
How are you? Good evening.
My name is Catherine McEwen from Corsiac Urban Planning. We're here again tonight on behalf of our client, Hallett Homes. The subject property is located on the east side of Brownie Road within the Glen Abbey Encore development. We're requesting to permit a rear yard setback of 5.3 meters to a covered porch. If the lanai was uncovered, it would be permitted 3 meters from the lot line. It was an oversight when the house was designed. The requested variances will allow the residents to maximize the use of their yard by providing weather protection without creating any privacy overlook or massing issues. This lot has been sold, and the purchaser would like to have the covered lanai if possible. So we're requesting the variance. Moving forward, Hallett Homes will not be offering this option any longer, as they're now aware that there's a zoning issue with it. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. And I believe it would be figure number 1 from the PDFs that I sent in, if you want to bring up the citing on the screen. Page 1, sorry. Oh, sorry. The larger one, it's page 1. It's page 4 of that one, sorry.
Is this the correct one?
No, it's page 1 of either this or this one's quite a bit larger. So if you go to the other tab, the hyacinth, it's also, I think it's page 4 of that. 2311.
There we go.
Yeah. So as you can see,
Can we zoom in a little?
so I can't control my mouse, but if I could, the area indicated with the 5.3, those lighter black lines are
Yes.
the porch.
Okay. So it's because of the almost pie-shaped lot that you have that in the backs. Okay. Okay, if we pull out back out to the panel so that I can see the committees. Are there any items of yes, Ms. Murray, go ahead.
Yes, through you, Madam Chair, to Ms. McEwen. I'm wondering if you can address town staff's comments, notwithstanding. So it says that the proposed reduced setback would be compatible with surrounding neighborhood. It abuts public open space, etc. It says, notwithstanding the comments above, it appears that the elevation drawings and floor layout brochure submitted with the application are not aligned with the submitted site plan. Can you address these comments?
So from what I understand, the images that were provided in the package that are brochure images, which are more of a boilerplate kind of template, are slightly different than the finalized site plan. And this was, the architect had to slightly tweak the final version to address some zoning issues. So be going forward with the one that's shown on the site plan and the siting plan.
Okay, follow up through you, Madam Chair, to town staff. Are those accurate site plans the ones that we had in the file? Because it says, therefore, depending on the outcome of this application, the applicant may need to make the proposal comply with said regulations at the building permit application stage, which may or may not be in general accordance with the plan submitted with this application. I'm struggling with how to go on this.
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair. As noted in the comments, the colored site plan that was submitted with the application depicting the rear porch, that's what staff are content with supporting. In terms of the elevation drawings, agreed with the agent's comments that they're a boilerplate, I guess, conceptual drawing, and those would have to be essentially a mirror image of what is being proposed to reflect the actual location of the rear covered porch, and that's why staff have noted that. But in doing so and mirroring that elevation, staff are unsure or able to comment if that siting of the dwelling and that, I guess, concept and those elevation plans would need additional variances.
Okay, has that answered your question, Ms. Murray?
I'm struggling in essence, again, through you, Madam Chair, to the town staff, if I understand this correctly. We could support this variance at this time only to have them to return. Is that correct?
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair, through a deeper review of the building permit application, when that comes in with the mirrored elevation drawings, it may be determined at that time that further variances are required, save and except how the rear covered porch is depicted with the 5.3 meter setback.
Okay, I have a follow-up question to that, to Ms. Murray's, then I'm gonna piggyback on that. What are the chances that the minimum rear yard that is requested right now at 5.3 is going to be further reduced?
Well, through you, Madam Chair, I don't believe that would be the case because the site plan shows the 5.3 meter setback. Again, it would be the elevation drawings when they're mirrored if there's any deficiencies in relation to the zoning bylaw. So my understanding is that the site plan that's shown with the red hatched line all the way around and then the highlighted yellow with the 5.3 meters, that's in compliance, save and except the rear yard setback. It would be anything in relation to elevations when the mirrored elevations are submitted.
Okay, so then we will just deal with the application on its merits for now, and then if they need to come back, they need to come back at that time. Yep. Very well. Are there any further questions before we take this matter into committee? Ms. McEwen, do you have anything further to add? If you're satisfied with the conditions that are set forth in the report, we can proceed.
Yes, I am.
Okay. I'm assuming there are no calls, Ms. McRae, so we can take this matter into committee now?
That is correct.
Very well. Who would like to move a motion? Thank you, Mr. Hardcastle. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Having undertaken my site visit, reviewed the materials, the written materials, as well as the agent's comments, I'm satisfied that the requested variance conforms to the four tests of the Act. I believe that the reduced rear yard setback will not result in any negative impacts with respect to massing or overlook, and as such, I'll put forward a motion of approval, subject to, excuse me for a moment, subject to the two conditions, namely that the dwelling be constructed in general accordance with the submitted site plan dated August 7th, 2020, and correct elevation drawings to the satisfaction of the Director of Planning Services, and that the approval expires 2 years from the date of the decision if a building permit has not been issued. I would note that there are no members of the public present or to give deputations or written submissions provided with respect to this matter.
Very well. Is there a discussion on this recommendation? I see none. All those in support? Okay, the application has been approved. None opposed.
Thank you.
Ms. McEwen is staying with us, so we'll just move to the next application. correct?
Correct.
And that's CV 077 at 2315 Hyacinth Crescent. I will need to say the number again for those calling in if they so choose. The number is 905-815-6095. Again, the number to call in to join the video conferencing is 905-815-6095. Thank you. This is another proposed dwelling with a maximum height request for 12.8 and a minimum rear yards request for 3.1 meters. Go ahead, Ms. McEwen, you can take us through it and you can instruct the town staff to put up the pages accordingly. Thank you.
Great. I think if we put up page 3 from the smaller PDF that we had provided, one with 4 pages. So again, we're requesting a variance to permit a minimum rear yard setback of 3.1 meters to the covered porch, as well as to permit a maximum height of 12.8 meters, whereas 12 meters is permitted. We're requesting the variance to allow this covered porch. Again, this lot has been sold and the purchaser has expressed interest to keep it if possible. As for the dwelling height, perhaps we could go to page 2. We're requesting a maximum height of 12.8 meters. The maximum height is measured from the established grade to the highest point of the building, which is shown. When designing the unit, it was measured from the finished grade to the highest point of the building, which achieved a height of about 11.7 meters, which the architect thought had conformed. The proposed height of the 3 peaks will not appear to be noticeably taller, and they'll be compatible with the adjacent dwellings, and they're consistent with the site-specific urban design guidelines by providing a variety of roof slope pitches. I'd be happy to answer any questions on these 2 requests.
Very well. If we can exit, thank you. Are there any questions or items of clarification of Ms. McEwen at this time? Okay, I see none. If no one is called in, we can take the matter into committee.
I do not, there is no callers.
Very well. Mr. Flemington, I see your hand up. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Having conducted my site visit, I know it's a new development, but reviewing the applicant's written submission, as well as the town's written staff report, noting that it was in favor of the variance. Also, having taken into account the comments presented this evening by the applicant's agent, as well as noting that there were no questions or submissions from the public in opposition to, and I am prepared to make a motion that the application be approved as applied for with the following conditions. That the dwelling be constructed in general accordance with the submitted site plans and elevation drawings submitted with the application, and that the approval expires 2 years from the date of the decision if a building permit has not been issued for the proposed construction. Our standard condition.
Okay, very well. Is there a discussion on this recommendation? I see none. All those in support? All those opposed? Ms. Murray, are you voting for or against?
Apologies, voting for.
For. Okay, so the motion has passed and the application has been approved. None opposed.
Thank you.
Okay, So I think you're staying with us, Ms. McKeown.
Yes.
We have you for the rest of the night. I think
Yeah,
until the
you're
last
stuck
one.
with me.
Okay, all right. We're going on to application CAV 078 of 2020 at 2322 Hyacinth Crescent.
Just,
And again, the phone,
sorry,
sorry.
before you, that application has actually been deferred.
Oh,
I know you weren't
okay,
here in
thank you.
attendance at the beginning, but just, yeah, so we're moving on to CAV A079.
All right, very well. So application CAV 079 of 2020 at 2323 Hyacinth Crescent.
So again, I think if we can pull up page number 1 of that smaller PDF. So the requested variance for this lot, we're requesting to permit a minimum rear yard setback of 4.6 meters to the covered porch. Similar to the other requests, the purchaser has indicated interest of keeping the covered lanai. So we would like to request the variance. I'm not sure if you have any questions. It's similar to the others.
Yeah, it looks the same. Are there any items of clarification or questions of Ms. McEwen at this time? Very well, then we are ready to take the matter into committee. Who would like to move a motion? Mr. Hardcastle, go ahead, sir.
Sorry, I just want to note that we've received no callers at this time.
Very well, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Having undertaken a site visit, reviewed the written materials, heard the agent's comments, I am satisfied that the requested variance conforms to the 4 tests of the Act, and that the proposed rear yard to accommodate a covered porch will not impact upon adjacent properties with respect to overlook or massing. As such, I'll put forward a motion of approval subject to 2 standard conditions. The first being that the dwelling be constructed in general accordance with the submitted site plans and elevation drawings submitted with the application. And the second being that the approval expires 2 years from the date of the decision if a building permit has not been issued for the proposed construction. I would also note that there were no members of the public present to speak to the matter, and no written submissions received. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hardcastle. Is there a discussion on this recommendation?
Yes, Madam Chair, through you to the town staff. Just a point of clarification, I've noted that many of the requested conditions for this development do not indicate dates on the site plans or elevation drawings. Could you provide a reason for that, please?
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair. In regards to the application submission, there was multiple documents submitted by multiple firms with multiple dates. So instead of clouding the wording of the condition, I kept it simple in terms of what was submitted, what was reviewed, and what the committee and what's been presented here tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further items of clarification before we take the vote on the motion to accept the application and approve it with the conditions as set forth? Okay, I see none. All those in support? Okay, and your application has been approved, none opposed. Thank you. Well, I guess I wish you good night now because you're off.
Thanks.
Okay. So application CAV 121 of 2019 deferred from September 24th of 2019 at 342 Spruce Street. Again, the application is CAV 121 of 2019 at 342 Spruce Street. Anyone interested in this application should call 905-815-6095. Again, the number is 905-815-6095. Further instructions will be provided to join the video conferencing once you do call this number. And again, the number is listed at the live stream at oakville.ca page. We do have one letter of opposition listed here from a Mr. Daniel Meskel. And I have Michael Barton as the agent. Is that, yes, very good. You can unmute yourself, Mr. Barton.
Okay.
Go ahead, sir. You can direct the town staff to put your presentation up if you have submitted one.
Yes, I've submitted a presentation that you have on file. It's mostly figures that you have as part of the application package, but I have them there for reference as well.
Okay, very well. So you'll take us through. I realize that that's been deferred from a while ago, but it's good for the audience and the members of the public to understand what the application is about.
Sure. And thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to the committee on behalf of the owner. As you mentioned, the application was submitted in mid-2019 and scheduled to come before the committee on September 24th of last year. Our main objective is always to seek staff approval of an application before it's heard by the committee. So on that basis, we deferred the application to address staff's concerns around the compatibility of the proposed dwelling with the character of the community. The subject property is a lot of record that doesn't currently have a dwelling constructed on it. So if we do have the slide 2 there available, you can see the lot pattern showing how that relates to the others in the neighborhood. The property is zoned RL3-0 and subject to special provision 10. On slide 3, you can see the existing conditions on the property. So the property is vacant. You can see that there are trees at the rear of the property, and then the property has been hoarded in preparation for future development, but it has been in that condition for some time now, just ensuring that it would be secured. The adjacent properties are occupied by single detached dwellings of 1.5 to 2 stories in character. You can see that on slides 4, 5, 6, and 7. They were also provided in the application package. The property to the south is the property that backs on to the subject property. It has a large rear yard that acts as a buffer to the subject property. So that does provide quite a significant distance between the dwelling existing on that property and the one that will be built on the property we're discussing today. The proposed dwelling has been designed to conform to maximum floor area ratio, setback, and height regulations in order to ensure compatibility with the community. When we look at slide 8, if we can move there, you can see that as well when we look at that as well. So you can see that side yard setbacks ensure that there's an appropriate separation provided from the dwellings at 338 and 348 Spruce Street. I would note that appropriate methods and measures of construction will be taken to ensure that there's no impacts on these properties during construction. That would include the existing detached garage that is at 348 Spruce. A significant redesign was completed after the deferral to address the concerns that town staff raised, including heritage, to ensure that the dwelling would be appropriate for the area. So we are here asking only for the minor variance for lot coverage, which has been determined by both my analysis and that of staff to be in line with the average for the community. Slide 9 has a proposed front rendering of the dwelling, showing that it's going to respect the character of the area, including the fact that it incorporates a second story into the roof line, which helps to minimize the overall massing. But the overall intent has been to provide a home that has the character that fits in with the character of those other homes immediately abutting, as well as the wider area. When we look at the proposed site plan on slide 10, you can see the proximity of the proposed dwelling to the adjacent dwelling. So I had mentioned the dwelling at 348 Spruce. It's pretty far set back from the property line. It is the detached garage that's closer to the property line. So by providing the required setbacks, as well as ensuring that proper construction and shoring techniques are implemented during construction, we can mitigate any potential impacts there. Again, with trees, there's significant trees at the rear of the property. Those are not going to be impacted through the development. The only trees that are being impacted are those that are going to be in the building footprint area. Even a smaller dwelling on this property would require these trees to be removed just to allow excavation and construction. The elevations were provided in the package. They're also on slide 11 of the presentation I provided. It really does show the attention that's been given to the architectural detail and quality, and really in response to the comments that we received from staff. So in summary, we are in agreement with the position of town staff that the variance meets the applicable tests and is appropriate, that the proposed dwelling is now in conformity with the character of the neighborhood. That it's also important to note that many of the existing dwellings in the area exceed maximum lot coverage and floor area provisions of the zoning, but they still fit in and they define the character of the neighborhood. It's my opinion that the proposal also represents excellent architectural and urban design quality and will be compatible with the neighborhood. And I would request that you approve the variances that are, or the variance that's before you today.
Very well, thank you, Mr. Barton. It's interesting to see how things have evolved, and it's nice to see the final product, if I may say, of this application. Are there any items of clarification or question of Mr. Barton at this time? Okay, I see none. Ms. McRae, I don't think anyone has called. We do have one
yes,
letter
we
of
actually do
opposition.
we do have a caller. Ms.
Oh, we do,
Margot
okay.
Hain. Yeah, I'm just going to unmute.
Very well.
Are you there, Ms. Hain?
Hello.
Hello, hi.
Hi.
Can you please state your name and address for the record?
Yes, my name is Margot Haynes. I'm at 340 Spruce Street. I am at the house directly to the west of this proposed property.
Okay. Margot Haynes. Go ahead, Ms. Haynes. We are all listening. We can't see you because I know you're calling, but we are all listening.
Okay. I have had a discussion with the developer, Pat Gasparo, already, but I did just want to make sure that it was sort of formally noted. I had a bit of an issue with the placement of the air conditioning unit, or the two units that are directly next to my deck. We've got probably a little over 7 feet in between our two properties. And I just have asked him if he could move the units down a little bit further towards the road, so that I'm not having to listen to the air conditioning units.
Understood. And how was the conversation with Mr. Gasparo?
It was fine. He said he would try to do what he could, although he would have to keep it within the parameters of the utility room in the basement.
Okay, so we will get the agent to comment on your concerns. Are there any other concerns? Because once I hand it over to Mr. Barton, your time will have ended. That's as per our procedural bylaws. So right. I want you to have your say in your full time.
Yeah, I think that's all. I as I said, I just wanted it to be formally noted, so that when the building does commence, that we are looking at moving these air conditioning units down.
Okay. All right. Thank you for your submission.
Okay,
Mr. Barton.
Thank you.
Thank you. You'd care to comment? I know Ms. Haynes is still listening, so this is your time to address her concerns, and then we'll see if there's anyone else who's interested in speaking to the application before we do take it into committee. So go ahead, sir. Yeah,
on behalf of the owner, he'd be definitely be open to mitigating any impacts of the air conditioning units that could be done. I haven't spoken to him directly about that issue. I know he did mention to me that he was looking at any opportunities he could to avoid any impacts with that, but he would be open to obviously doing anything that he could to mitigate the concerns with the rear yard deck next door.
Okay.
It's always wise to keep your neighbors happy.
Yeah.
Are there any questions of Mr. Barton or Ms. Haynes at this time before we let her go, or any items of clarification? I see none. Okay, so Ms. Haynes, I hope you're satisfied with Mr. Barton's comments, and I sincerely hope that you are able to work with the developer and that everything will work out to your best interest. But we are ready to take that matter into committee now.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thanks very much.
Very well. Mr. Talowski, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I'm prepared to move that this application be approved as applied for, finding that it meets the four tests of the Planning Act. I believe the proposed house is compatible with the neighborhood, both in design and in the coverage variance being requested. I would note, however, that the applicant has some work to do with their neighbors, and note the two concerns that have been raised by the neighbors. Speaking to those, I would note that there is no request for side yard variances, which could have an impact on the concerns raised with respect to air conditioners and the removal of the trees on the other side. So I don't believe the variance requested is driving those matters. With respect to the concern on the garage, I would note that the applicant, speaking from experience, there's a lot of sand in this area, and you probably do want to shore up that side, given that the garage does not have a standard dwelling setback. But Madam Chair, I'm satisfied that the development engineering site plan process would be the place that be looked at. I would hope that, or ask that, the letter from the other neighbor be provided to development engineering so they're aware of that concern. Having said all that, Madam Chair, again, I would move approval of the application subject to development proceeding in general accordance with site plan number 5, elevation number 4, dated August 6, 2020, and that the building permit issue within 2 years.
Sorry, I just wanted to interrupt a moment. I'm not sure whether I just have to verify if there's someone else waiting to speak. Just bear with me a moment. Thank you.
Sure.
Yes, we do have someone else waiting online, Mr. Daniel Mikhail.
Okay, yeah, Mr. Talowski has brought all his points into record, but we're happy to hear him as well. Go ahead, sir.
Hello.
Hello, good evening, Mr. Mescal.
Hi, thank you very much for taking my call. I would just like to question or ask what measures were taken or what investigation work was done to trace the root structure of the existing trees on the east side of the property to see if there was any provision to retain the existing trees, or are they just being removed without exploration?
Okay, we can certainly find that out through the agent. I note that you had another concern with respect to the garage. I just want you to be able to get the answers for all your information. All your questions prior to me handing it over to the agent, because that's how the procedural bylaw for our meeting conducted. Once you've said your part, the agent does respond, and then we take the matter into committee. So is this the only item of clarification that you would like addressed at this present time?
Yes, just so I guess in addition to the email that I had submitted yesterday.
Yes. Okay, very well. Mr. Barton, you have received the letter from Mr. Mescal, and he'd like to understand about the trees as well and the investigation that was conducted. So go ahead, sir.
Yes, the site plan was prepared based on an arborist report that was done looking at the trees that were on the property and determining which ones could be retained and which ones needed to be removed based on where the building footprint was going to be. So that is also based on the roots. So it's not just a matter of the trees themselves being located in the footprint, but where there would be impacts to those trees as a result of the construction. So that was done in preparing the site plan. It's not a document that was shared because the applicant wasn't looking at having side yard setbacks, and that for the committee, it wasn't a document that was required by the committee, but it was something that was looked at in preparing the site plan and looking at what trees would need to be removed as a result of the house construction.
So as I understand that the arborist report is required by the town. So just as a point of clarification to Mr. Mikhail, you had to complete that aspect of your application. Mr.
Yes,
Mikhail,
so
you
we
still...
would be providing that. It'll be reviewed again as part of the site plan review as well, the development review. But yes, that has been prepared, and that is what the site plan is based on.
Yes, I just wanted him to hear that clarification, because
Yes,
members
okay.
of the public do not know what goes into an application or what procedures are conducted within the site plan and engineering approval and all of that. So I hope that Mr. Mikhail has gotten his... Okay. And did you have any comments with respect to the garage? I mean, we've already covered it from our perspective, but given that we haven't taken the matter into committee yet, you can go ahead and speak to that as well if you'd like.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned it in my initial presentation, is because I had seen the letter, and it was really just that the two items providing the required side yard setback, and that the owner will be ensuring proper construction techniques the notes that member Toloski has pointed out about proper soil conditions and construction techniques will be sure to take those into consideration as well.
Very well. Okay, I think we can go back to taking it into committee. Ms. McRae, before I do that, there's no one else waiting to speak to this application, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Mr. Toloski, you did it so eloquently the first time. It is on record on video, so if you don't want to repeat it again, you may do so. I'll leave that up to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think my points in my initial motion covered the concerns raised, and I guess I'd just note as well, and obviously not in the same location, but the removal of trees under the town's tree bylaw does require significant compensation of additional plantings. So there is that aspect as well. So, Madam Chair, I would just reiterate this motion to approve the application subject to the conditions that I've already stated.
Very well. Is there a discussion on this application? Or, sorry, is there a discussion on this motion? I see none. All those in support? Okay. The application has been approved, none opposed. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Barton. Have a good evening. We have minutes to confirm for the August 25th meeting. Ms. Murray confirms the minutes. Thank you. And we have a motion to adjourn, please. Mr. Hardcastle, motion to adjourn. I believe it's 8:26, is it correct? Don't see it. Yes, it's 8:26. So we are adjourned.